We all have things that shape us, but what happens when illness tries to define you? Welcome to Living with Fibro and PSA, Felicia and Frankie's Way. I'm Polsun, and if you've got the answers, I'm all ears because I got two clingy companions, fibromyalgia and psoriatic arthritis. I call them Felicia and Frankie because if they're going to wreck my life, they might as well have names. Meet my squatters, Felicia and Frankie. No, they're not cute little roommates. There's nothing cute about them. These two moved in rent free and they refused to leave. Felicia, fibromyalgia, is the dramatic one. She's always flaring up over nothing, and she demands attention like a spoiled little diva. Frankie, psoriatic arthritis, he's more of a silent sabotager. He's kind of lurking in the background and, he's just wrecking joints and totally wrecking the vibe. And together, they're the worst duo since pain met fatigue and decided to throw a nonstop party in my body. And spoiler, I wasn't even freaking invited. But hey, since they're not going anywhere, I figured I might as well introduce them properly, set some boundaries and maybe air some grievances. Probably overshare a little. So go grab a cup of coffee, tea, or maybe a heating pad, a cozy blanket, whatever it is that helps you get through the day, and let's dive in. Welcome to Living with Fibro and PSA, Felicia and Frankie's Way. I'm glad you guys are all here. Felicia, she's the freeloader. She moved in and she's not friendly though. Y'all, she's just not friendly. All right. I know, you kind of were upset with me last week cuz I kind of left off hanging, but you know, we're all here now. So, let's talk about the true real diva. The real diva that's in my life would be Felicia. When she decides to make her entrance, she goes big. She's that chronic condition that nobody invited to the party. Nobody wants her there. But she comes, and she always brings widespread pain. The relentless fatigue, the brain fog, sleep disturbances, and she never, ever, ever shows up alone. It's like my body is constantly stuck in constant alarm mode. It's always thinking that there's something wrong, even when there's no injury. There's no actual injury, there's nothing there. And the worst part, she's invisible. So people look at me and they're like, you look fine. You don't look like you're sick. Hey, folks, on this inside of this body, my insides feel like it's been hit by at least a dozen Mack trucks. And some days, I can barely move without feeling like I've been ran over. The unpredictability is absolutely exhausting. One day I might be able to do a few chores. I maybe can go outside and kind of mess around in the garden. But by the next day, I'm utterly and completely wiped out. She doesn't care. Felicia does not care anything about my plans. She just shows up. She decides how my day's going to go. And it's not just the fatigue or the pain. No, she brings like her entourage of chaos. So, brain fog, let's talk about that. It makes me feel like I have dementia. I literally forget words mid sentence. I lose my train of thought and I walk into a room and I forget why I'm there. Folks, I spend so much time in Wonderland wondering where I'm supposed to be, what I was doing, what was my last thought? Yeah, okay. Um yeah, simple tasks turn into mental obstacles. It's like a full-blown course for me, folks. My vision is also the wonderful thing of what the heck is happening. Like, one minute I need stronger glasses. Like, I can't see. Like, everything's blurry and it's all just, I can't make it out. And then, a few minutes later, crystal clear. Digestion, IBS, cramps, constipation, diarrhea, the full body tenderness, like the lightest touch feels like you've just totally bruised me. Random stabbing pains that hit out of nowhere, the migraines, the thunderclap headaches that sneak up without warning and take you down to your knees. Folks, that crap hurts. My hands and feet, constant tingling, numbness, burning, fire. Yeah, it don't stop. And that's not even talk about what we call sleep. Yeah, I'm beyond exhausted 90% of the time. And I still don't sleep right. It's an elusive thing. If it wasn't for my nighttime meds, I wouldn't get no sleep. I get 4 hours every night with my medication. So, yeah, rest, it's elusive. It's a thing that I just can't ever seem to catch. And here's the deal, if you've got fibro, you know that this doesn't just affect your body, it invades your body. It invades every part of your life, work, relationships, daily tasks, everything, every single thing takes extra effort. But what I've learned is, as hard as this is, we have to give ourselves grace. We have to realize that we're doing the best we can do, and that's okay. Felicia might be tough, but we are too. Now, Frankie, he's totally not my type, but yeah, he's all up in my joints. Now, let's talk about him, the other pain in my life, Frankie. He's my nickname for psoriatic arthritis, PSA. And PSA is a chronic inflammation. It's it's an autoimmune disease with no known exact cause. It's not your average regular arthritis. This one plays dirty. Unlike osteoarthritis, which kind of is typically due to the wear and tear, PSA actually happens when your immune system gets all bumfuzzled and confused. And it starts to attack the actual healthy joints, like they're the enemy. Frankie, he doesn't just affect those joints, though. He also brings along his friends, and they're not the nice guys. You can imagine the awful canoffle gang kind of type guys, bad guys. And they're messing with your skin. Hello, psoriasis, causing pain, extra stiffness, and swelling. But no, wait, he's not done yet. Just wait. You know, let's talk a little bit about inflammation. When your immune system thinks it's Batman, but ends up wreaking havoc like the Joker does. Okay? Normally, inflammation is your body's version of a cleanup crew. you get a cut or an infection, and your immune system comes in, do, 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 and don't worry, I got this. And, it cleans everything up. The blood vessel swells, white blood cell comes to this, they come to the scene, and everything gets all patched up. It's like a well oiled machine. And then it just packs its stuff up, do, 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 and it's okay. Nice job done, guys. And it's nice and tidy, and it's all done. But if you've got something like psoriasis, oh, honey, that immune system, it is stuck permanently on overachiever mode. It's not out here throwing, it is out there, sorry, it's out there throwing white blood cell count, yeah, sorry, folks, just lost my train of thought. It's out here throwing white blood cells around like confetti at New Year's Eve party, whether there's a problem there or not. And instead of making new skin cells, it just, like when the old ones die off, you're supposed to make new ones in its place. But your body decides to, hey, let's make them all at once. All of them, right now, here and now. And then you end up with a traffic jam of skin cells. And, they're piling up on the surface and they're fighting for space like they're all in a studio apartment. Either way, enter the lovely plaques and scales to your skins. And there's no subtle way of saying, but your skin saying, hey, I can't take no more. I'm inflamed and I don't have any other place to go. So, yeah, inflammation, it's supposed to help. But with psoriasis, it's like having a fire alarm that goes off just because you thought about making some toast. Constant chaos, zero chill. Frankie has a full entourage of symptoms in the fingers, toes, wrists, knees, mostly all your joints. And don't forget that the fatigue, not just I need a nap kind, but the kind of exhaustion that makes brushing your teeth or putting socks on feel like you're training for a marathon. Nail changes, pitting, ridges, your nails, they lift off the bed. Sausage fingers or toes makes it hard to bend or use your fingers. Yeah, really bad. And, that's part of it. Eye inflammation. We talked about red and blurry vision and, digestive chaos. And, some people get the patches of psoriasis and some don't. That's one of the unpredictability about PSA. It doesn't show up the same for everyone. And here's the real kicker. Here's where I got in trouble. If PSA goes untreated or it's poorly managed, or, somebody like me that's a dum-dum and didn't know I had it all these years, it causes permanent joint damage. Chronic inflammation wears down bones, and it builds new ones in all the wrong places, adding even more pain and stiffness and eventually mobility loss over time. So for me, living with PSA means it's constantly having to adjust to whatever my body decides to throw at me. So some days I can feel halfway normal, maybe even compatible. Other days, Frankie just knocks me out completely. And it's not just the obvious stuff, it's all the invisible symptoms too. Like morning stiffness that comes, it's one of the worst things. It comes in the mornings when when you've, it's not even just morning, whenever you have not moved. Constantly, it's mostly morning because you've laid in bed all night, not moving, and you become super, super stiff. Sitting in a chair like I do, like behind our computers. Yeah, it causes stiffness as well. So, we got to get up, we got to move around more. But morning, when you first get up out of bed, it's the worst. And, you have the flare up days where Frankie shows up loud and uninvited, and he makes every joint feel like it's on fire. Inflammation spreads like wildfire, and it makes making the smallest movements impossible. And we'll definitely talk more about flare ups later and all the wonderful, delightful little sparklers of pain that comes with them as well. Living with both Felicia, Fibro, and Frankie, PSA, isn't just about managing pain. It's like trying to play referee to a cage match between two heavyweight champs who have zero chill. There's no warning, there's no clear pattern. It's just chaos. Some mornings I wake up feeling like I've been in a full blown street fight. I don't remember signing up for this. Hey, like this one time, I woke up and I seriously thought, hey, I'm going to go take a shower and I'm going to go out today. But halfway to the bathroom, my knee locks up. Then my hip screams, and Felicia added a bonus migraine just 'cause she could. I ended up back in bed, wrapped up in heating pads, cursing both of them out loud, and my poor dog, he seriously thought I freaking lost it. But this is a normal scene at my house. And the worst part, if Frankie flares, Felicia totally gets jealous. She wants in on the drama, of course. So, a swollen joint from PSA will definitely usually trigger nerve pain from fibro. And suddenly, my whole leg is on fire. It's not just one pain, it's the layers of pain. So, like a quick rundown of tag team chaos could be muscle ache and spasms from Felicia, joint swell and lock up from dear old Frankie. The nerves misfire because the pain is, well, it's pain, apparently. Fatigue is so heavy, I swear I have aged a decade overnight. Brain fog, so freaking bad. I once put the milk in the pantry and my meds in the fridge. And the emotional toll, it's through the roof. Sometimes I sit down because my knees can't take it, my back can't handle it. But then my back also starts screaming that I need to stand up and stretch. So 5 minutes later, my feet are like, ma'am, you need to sit down. We can't win. No, there's just no winning. Living with fibro, Felicia, and PSA Frankie is like hosting a never-ending body mutiny. Felicia, she lights my nerves on fire, and then she laughs at the rest. And Frankie, he cements my joints and plays, "Can you walk today? Will you do it?" Spoiler, the answer is usually no, no. Flare days are just burning muscles, skin that hates everything, and joints that crack louder than my will to live sometimes. I'm a walking pharmacy wrapped in heating pads, juggling yoga and stretches, the kind that doesn't make me sob anyway, ice packs, existential dread. Yeah. Let's not forget the fun extras. Fatigue so deep that I swear I'm part sloth. freaking sensory overload, mystery nausea, and hot cold roulette. And because Frankie's a real overachiever, he'll toss in psoriasis, itchy, scaly patches that crack and bleed and show up uninvited guests like they're at a pity party or something. I don't know. Dry skin, you know. I swear, I lotion myself constantly from trying to keep myself from turning into a sandpaper mummy. And some days I stand like a burrito, all wrapped up. Doctors, they shrug. They don't know what's wrong. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to fix you. Let's run you here. Let's send you there. Let's go here. I would love for a doctor to look at me and say, I have no idea what the heck's going on with you, kid, but hey, we'll try to figure it out. I probably could respect that a whole lot more. But anyway, they just shrug. They blow you off. They refer you out. My bills are growing, and I just keep dragging in this flame-meated suit forward with sarcasm and survival as my only coping strategy. We'll unpack more of Frankie's fabulous chaos later. Trust me, you'll want some popcorn. Self-care. Yeah, it's cute until you're crying in the shower. But, we can hide the tears because, water hides those. Trying to prioritize self-care with both Felicia and Frankie tagging along is like juggling knives while riding a unicycle blindfolded. But real talk, it's non-negotiable. But here's how I try to stay somewhat sane and semi-functional. You have to listen to your body, even when you don't want to. And trust me, this one is brutal for me. Brutal. It's hard. My body yells at me constantly, sit down, and I keep whispering, I can just do one more thing. And spoiler, I always pay for it. It's always 2-3 days of quality bonding time with my bed. I get frustrated. I'm working on it. Kind of. But you got to set boundaries too. And that's saying no without feeling guilty, mostly. And this one, I suck at it too. I hate turning people down, especially the ones that I love. It's so hard. But I'm learning to tell people and myself, I'm not a machine and I'm already running half-mast. So if it's going to deplete what energy I have left, if it's going to take more spoons than I have, it's going to have to be a no. I do a lot of gentle moving, not to be confused with actual exercise, okay? I couldn't lift a weight if I had to, but I do a lot of stretching and walking and yoga on the terms to help me stay mobile-ish. I can sit here in this chair and I do stretches. Trust me, you do enough physical therapy and they teach you every stretch. I mean, I've had neck issues. They teach you stretches for that. I've had back pain and leg pains and hip pains and they all show you. So I just apply all of those stretches that I've learned from physical therapy into my quote unquote yoga. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what I've been doing. And I do follow another lady that she's really good. She has well, you know what? We'll talk about that later. But she has them for the bed and the sitting and, whatever you can do. So, but anyway, it's I'm not here to run marathons. It's just a slow, unintentional movement so that my joints don't riot. I use bed yoga during my flare-ups. So I have that, and you can make it a decent day, I guess. At least you're functioning anyway, and it keeps me out of bed, and that's the important part. Pain management, heating pads, the ice pads, meds, my Epsom salt baths, CBD gummies, TINS unit. I don't know. I've tried it, but you know, I've basically got a pain fighting toolkit that, might make a pharmacy somewhat jealous. You do what you got to do that. And, your body, it's not your average it's not your average. Fatigue, yeah. I tried to sleep and couldn't sleep, and you get tired. It's soul sucking, body melting exhaustion. Naps happen, sleep routines matter, and sometimes I just have to lay down flat. I don't have to do anything, and that's okay too. But just to have the bed, to lay down flat. Hey, folks, a couple of years ago, I went for a hike just because someone said, hey, you shouldn't do it. And it made me mad. I went and did this hike with a friend of mine. And I told her, listen, I'm just going to have to go slow. But as I'm walking, the rough terrain, the bumps, should I have gone on that walk? Probably not. But you know what? I did it. But I had to lay down in the middle of the freaking woods. And I told my friend, she was freaking panicking, and I'm going to go get help. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't like to be told that I can't do something. I'm going to do it just because. Even if I shouldn't do it, sometimes it works out. Sometimes it don't. I always end up paying for it either way it goes. But I did do it, but I had to lay down in the middle of the woods on the hiking path 3 or 4 times. But we did it. But yeah, that's okay. It was nice to become one with the woods and just look up. It was beautiful. But yeah, anyway, mental health matters as well. And yes, it matters even more when your body's falling apart. Let's be real. Taking care of your emotional and mental health while juggling chronic pain is like trying to meditate in a burning building. But it matters a lot. So you have to make time for it. You have to make time for you. So, I do things like, things that chill me out. I like to journal, meditate, color in those little books. I like to get in front of my computer and play my games. And I like to binge watch my favorite shows. I save those for flare days because I can lay in bed and watch those. So I don't watch much TV when I'm up and about. It's just, I usually try to save those all for flare days because, we absolutely need that. But it's whatever keeps the mental chaos from staging a full takeover. Once that happens, it's a complete mutiny. And friends and family, that's a vital, important, life saving thing. They're great to have people that you can vent to and talk to, or people that just sit in silence with you to let you know that, hey, I'm here, but you don't have to say anything because they understand. That makes so much of a difference, folks, having somebody there for you. And yes, I've had to get really comfortable with asking for help. And it's still freaking awkward, but absolutely necessary. And those tiny wins, I count every single one of them. I got out of bed today, win. I took a shower, heck yeah. Didn't scream into the void today, absolutely big win. Chronic illness has taught me to find joy in little victories because some days that's all you got, and it has to be enough. So you kind of learn that your expectations for yourself, has to come down. I used to walk almost 10,000 steps a day when I was working. I set my watch way down. First it was 5,000, and then I got so upset because I didn't meet that. So then I had to go down to 2,000. And some days I can't even make 2,000. Hey, if I made 1,000 today, I celebrate that. But that's a long ways away from 10,000. You have to lower that expectation that you have for yourself. Because if not, you're setting yourself up for ultimate failure. And it's a mental blow that hurts. Self-care isn't just bubble baths and candles, even though those sound really nice and they help too. But it's more about balancing, giving yourself grace when you're falling apart, and still showing up for yourself in a way that you can, no matter what that may look like or be nowadays. And I feel like mental health is a subject that I feel needs its own episode. So we're definitely going to backtrack to this subject soon. But hey, if y'all stuck around this long, you guys are officially my people. And I seriously appreciate each and every one of you. Next week, we'll dive a little deeper into Felicia's dramatic flair and Frankie's twisted idea of affection. Spoiler, it involves pain. And these two, they brought they brought it all. They both love the spotlight. They both hate peas. So in this podcast, it's for all of us. We're all in this together, and we're just trying to make sense of everything in a world that just doesn't get it or still thinks that we're just quote unquote tired. We'll talk about the hard stuff, and we'll celebrate the tiny wins, the moments of joy, weird hacks that we find, things that help us to keep going. Whether it's managing symptoms, flare ups, dealing with clueless doctors, or just laughing at how ridiculous this chronic life can be. We're not just surviving, we're trying to figure out how to live loud, messy, and real. If you ever felt like you were alone in this mess, you're not. Let's talk, let's vent, let's laugh until it hurts, and then we'll ice it. Let's lift each other up because this life is so hard, but we're harder to break. If anything I said today hits you right in the soul, or hey, even the funny bone, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a message, share your story. Let me know what you guys might want to hear in future episodes. But if you like this one, if you liked this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, just like you woke up with a 3 a.m. Charlie horse. Support this group, and let's grow this badass, beautifully broken warrior community. Don't go far. I'll be back next Friday with some more snark, sass, survival tips that you didn't even ask for. Catch you next time.